looking back, how did you first hear about Imus's little comedy routine? Did you hear it on the radio? Did someone tell you? How did this come to your attention?
No, actually, Stacy Braun, my media person at Rutgers University, informed me after a bell ringing ceremony at our university, which was to honor the accomplishments of this team. And as I was getting into my car, Stacy said, "Well, did you hear some comments?" And so she, told me what was said. And actually, I was driving, and I thought I would wreck. I couldn't believe that I heard things as I did, but clearly I still didn't have the full impact of it.
She was a passenger in your car. She told you this while you were driving?
I don't know what she was thinking about.
And your students, did you tell them? Did they get it on Facebook? How did that go?
It's kind of interesting. I don't know if some of them heard about it on Facebook, but later that night, the governor, as well as our student bodies, was having an affair to celebrate the successes of the team. By now, I had seen a written transcript of what had been said, as well as to digest even more, the full context of what had taken place. So we were about to leave for the Easter holiday, and my statement to my young ladies is to let them know, yes, I heard what was said, and I promise that we will address these things when I get back.
So what was your job at that point as their coach? You had just taken your team to the championship game, but lost, and now this the very next day. How did you see your job at that point?
Well, my job always has been to be a mom, a protector, to be their mentor, to be the person that loves them and cherishes, and so to speak, as one mom, Essence Carson's mom, said as she gave her daughter to me to coach. She said, "This is my flower. Please give her the water and let her nourish and become the flower. This is my seed, and just give her the water and let her become the beautiful flower that I know she can become." So my job is to protect them, because you know what? My father taught me that adults stand up for young people, and it was necessary for me to do that, as I would expect them to stand up and encourage and lead the next generation of young people.
Rutgers women's basketball coach Vivian Stringer, my guest on WNYC, her brand new book called Standing Tall, a memoir of tragedy and triumph. And you won America's hearts with your public display of humanity. Each member of the team took the mic and told a little bit about where they were from, what their major was, things like that. And it looked to me at the time, and as I mentioned, we aired this live as it was happening, as if you were saying to the world, these are not nameless, faceless black girls. These are individual human beings with different names and different stories and different lives. How much was that the point?
That was the main point. It was your mom, your daughter, your sister, your brother. I mean, just think about the dignity and respect that you would want of and for your mom or your grandmother or your sister. They were basketball players, and they happened to be young women. The majority of them were black, but we had several white players as well. It was that society as a whole has accepted the kinds of things that have been said in various forms, whether it's listening to certain kinds of music, whether watching videos, or to have the rather direct comment that were made. And all too often we just say, "I'm sorry," and the beat goes on, and people continue, and we become so desensitized. But because it was directed directly to the young ladies that I coach, and more specifically in that it was directed to them, and they had accomplished so much. This was the team that had been taken out of their locker room, their uniform. They couldn't practice in their uniforms. They had to change in bathrooms. They were humiliated at the highest level by the number one team in the country, in our first game, and yet they had risen. Tears came to my eyes when I just think of the things that they had overcome, and no one could have been more proud. And to think that it's like a silly joke, it's just slapped away and meaningless. I just can't see how any person that has any level of compassion, understanding, or a decent human being would allow such. And so our attempt was to say, this is what he said, but this is who we are, to put faces to those names. And my purpose was to help everyone to identify in some way, fashion with them, and to see these young ladies as their daughters.